Shalom, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of a great millstone who teach us truth and sincerity. Yeshat Yakim out there in four corners of the earth, proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Bracha Tam. And so here we are. I know you already know about this, but I'm just going to play this short clip anyways. As we know that the wall is really to keep people within. We already know he's been building the wall. And this has nothing to do with the other, but what's happening, though, is just pretty much giving him the rulership over the hegemony of being able to control where the money's going. So pretty much they're going to pull out of resources such as programs like welfare, Social Security, and all that, because they're going to put it into the military so they can invade the other countries and pretty much fight against the Axis powers, if you will. I mean, even though we know that Babylon the Great is the Axis powers versus the Allied powers, because most of the countries, including the EU and the UN NATO, the Beast, are now allying with Russia, and they have many disagreements, even Merkel, leader, and you have the same thing with the leader of Gomer, Erdogan, so kingdoms against kingdom. And these are all Amalekite places as well. Amalek is against Amalek, because as you already know, the Khazarian Empire split into two main ones. They, either call themselves, converted to Judaism or converted to Islam, and that was part of the main split. But then a lot of them just stayed secular, never claimed to be Jewish or, Arab. Which Arab just means mixed race. That's how Esau got itself in. Making a long story short, though, Trump did declare national emergency on Friday, just like, the predictions were made, which, spoiler alert, is this word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Gives you a full outline as to things that be taking places.
U.S. President Donald Trump declared Friday a national emergency at the border to access roughly $8 billion to push for his signature campaign promise of a U.S.-Mexico border wall. It's a great thing to do because we have an invasion of drugs, invasion of gangs, invasion of people, Trump said at the Rose Garden in the White House. The action will allow the president to use executive powers to bypass Congress to get access to money for funding his long-pledged border wall, following a 2-month confrontation between the White House and congressional Democrats and a record-breaking 35-day partial government shutdown which ended late January. The funding will combine the $1.375 billion bipartisan funding bill just approved by Congress with more than $6 billion from the Department of Defense and $0.6 billion from the Treasury Department. The national emergency declaration sparked widespread criticism among the Democrats. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi accused the Republican president of trying to shred the Constitution. She also slammed Trump for going back on his promise of making Mexico pay for the wall. A number of Republicans are also skeptical of Trump's action, believing the declaration violates constitutional spirit. Analysts point out that Trump's exertion of presidential power could prompt a new round of confrontation between the Democrats and the Republicans.
Right now, and will not shut down the government, and that's what we're urging you to do. Not threaten to shut down the government because you can't get your way.
The last time you shut it down,
let me say something, Mr. President. You just say my way or we'll shut down the government. We have a proposal that the Democrats and Republicans will support to do a CR that will not shut down the government. We urge you to take it.
Again, all smoke and mirrors, because you know as well as I do that people are trying to leave America because this place sucks. Healthcare fucking sucks. Dental plan, oh yeah, that shit's out the door. People are actually going to Mexico to escape the tyranny of this place. This place is fucking awful. You have a much better life in Mexico. That's the real truth as to why that wall is being built. Okay, and this is a video that's up there pretty much, and I will pour my spirit upon all flesh. This is a New York City subway.
hate thy brother's heart. If you hate each other, guess what? That's a curse, man. You can't hate each other. All these laws are in the Bible for us, man. These heathens don't do what the Bible say. They don't do nothing that Bible say. They break every damn law in the Bible. And then want to holler John 3:16. 1 Corinthians 6:9. There should not be no whoremonger. There should not be a man running around here with 5 women or a woman running around here with 5 men. There should not be no effeminate. There should not be no homosexual or lesbian will enter into God's kingdom. Now, who passed the law and told you can be a goddamn homo? Your slave master. You was hiding it goddamn 20 years ago. Now he don't want a law so you can do it. And guess what? You Negroes and Hispanics doing it. The young girls going to school, he's doing it. Your little kid don't even know he's in school right now. He don't know if he want to be a goddamn homosexual or a lesbian. And what can you do about it? Nothing, because you're a slave. Now you suck that up. And the goddamn homosexuals got more laws than the Negroes and Hispanics got. You don't have nothing but a ghetto. Look at the Chinaman, the Mobile. He got a Chinatown. What you got? A damn ghetto town with drugs all in it. And niggas running around with their pants off their ass, hollering my nigga. And that's a destroyed man, child, because the husband is not in the house. Why you think Christ told Eve in Genesis 3:16, you gonna bear children and your husband gonna rule over you? Adam had a wife, he didn't have no damn girlfriend. And that's why y'all Negroes and Hispanics better understand. You can't lay out here and open your legs up to these Negroes. Because they're not gonna marry you. You're supposed to play a virgin until you find a righteous and holy man to keep God's laws. That's why y'all got all these babies in the ghetto and raise them by yourself. They got 3-4 babies by 3-4 different damn men. That's a curse, man. You don't see the so-called whites in the Africans, in the Moabites, in the Israelites. You don't see them people like that. The East Indians. You don't see them people like that. They with their children and their wife holding hands on Saturday and Sunday. What do you see on Saturday and Sunday? A woman with 4 goddamn kids and pushing a damn stroller. A black woman and a Hispanic woman. That's a curse, man. And if you keep on running around here thinking we lying to you, Christ gonna kill you when he gonna come back. I'm telling you, man. Deuteronomy 32 and 39. See, is no one with me but I kill, I wound, I heal. Can't nobody hide from me. Christ gonna kill you when he come back here. And don't let nobody tell you not to read the Old Testament, because that's where all the laws at, and that's where you gonna put everybody on this damn train here. All praise.
So there you have it. And, you know, the only thing he's got wrong is the name. He didn't say Yahweh Shai. But it pretty much matches up with what we're teaching. Now, this video, you're definitely not even going to see this on the mainstream at all. I don't even think you'll catch this on RT or Press. Well, maybe Press TV might pick hold of it, because Jason Unruh speaks a lot to that. But here's something that definitely Esau won't brag about. But one of his own, U.S. Air Force officer defects to Iran. This is brought to you from Jason Unruh.
Bad news for the United States Air Force. An individual by the name of Monica Witt is said to have defected from the intelligence section of the Air Force to the Islamic Republic of Iran. Officials are saying that the information that she carries with her is extremely damaging to the United States government. Miss Witt defected to Iran nearly 6 years ago in 2013. She was a counterintelligence officer for the Air Force of Special Investigations. She has been charged with espionage along with 4 Iranian hackers. Prosecutors say they targeted former colleagues of Miss Witt in the intelligence community. The Iranians were acting on behalf of the government-linked Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. The unsealed indictment lays out the charge. Witt, who defected to Iran in 2013, is alleged to have assisted Iranian intelligence services in targeting her former fellow agents in the U.S. intelligence community. Witt is also alleged to have disclosed the codename and classified mission of a U.S. Department of Defense Special Access Program. The important caveat here is that she defected 6 years ago, yet this is only being made public now. Now, U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin warned of retaliation against the Islamic Republic. He said the agency was taking action against malicious Iranian cyber actors and covert operations that have targeted Americans at home and overseas as a part of our ongoing efforts to counter Iran's regime cyber attacks. Treasury is sanctioning New Horizons organization for support of the IRGC-QF. New Horizon hosts international conferences that have provided Iranian intelligence officers a platform to recruit and collect damaging information from attendees while propagating
damaging information. So that means that you're not fucking honest with the people, you know. Pretty much, man, this devil's never been fucking honest. Honesty ain't within him because he's been a liar from the very fucking beginning.
Officers a platform to recruit and collect damaging information from attendees while propagating anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. We're also sanctioning the Iran-based
fucking listen to Amalek, man. Holocaust denial. It's like this, man. Fucking you ain't the real Jews, and it's a hoax.
Semitism and Holocaust denial. We're also sanctioning the Iran-based company that has attempted to install malware to compromise the computers of U.S. personnel. If this accusation is in fact true, it represents the greatest security leak by personnel within the U.S. government since the defection of Edward Snowden to the Russian government, carrying with it the alarming report that the NSA is spying on average, ordinary Americans. Now, this also comes at the same time that several unnamed sources spoke to the New York Times, telling them of a decade-long plan to sabotage Iran's satellite and rocket industry. Jason Unruh, MRN, Niagara Falls.
So there you have it. Got one more before I end the second part. Make no mistake about it, this old war of Persia and Amalek goes way back. It happened for over 800 years, and it's still happening now.
Risk of war is great. Iran issues chilling warning to Israel and U.S. Iran has blamed Israel of trying to provoke a war and warned the risk of armed conflict in the troubled region is great. Tensions in the Middle East have reached boiling point, and Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif claimed the behavior of Israel and the U.S. had increased the chance of war. Speaking at the Munich Security Conference, Mr. Zarif said, "Certainly, some people are looking for war." Israel, accusing Israel of violating international law after bombing campaigns in Syria. Mr. Zarif also criticized European powers for not calling out Israel and the U.S. for their actions in the region. He said, "The risk of war is great. The risk will be even greater if you continue to turn a blind eye to severe violations of international law. Israeli behavior is putting international law on the shelf. U.S. behavior is putting international law on the shelf." Mr. Zarif, who said Iran was committed to a 2015 nuclear deal with world powers for now, also accused France, Britain, and Germany of not doing enough to ensure Iran received the economic benefits of that accord.
So, there you go, you know, and this shit's going to increase. Got one more here.
We're joined in the studio by Mr. Cheng Xizhong. He's a former Chinese defense attaché in India, Pakistan, and Nepal, as well as a former senior military observer at the United Nations. Mr. Cheng is now a senior research fellow at the Chahar Institute and a visiting professor at Southwest University of Political Science and Law in Southwest China's Chongqing municipality. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Cheng. You are exactly the right person to talk about this issue. So, many are wondering if there is a military scenario between India and Pakistan is approaching. What's your take on this?
Now, many people think there will be a war trouble between India and Pakistan. I do not see any possibility of a large-scale war between the two countries.
Well, anyhow, you know that'll escalate as well. wars all around the world.